sometimes your boating day will go down with absolute perfection. You get out there, the weather's beautiful, everything's just right, and it is definitely your day. Other times when we get out there to go boating, things just don't go your way at all. Just like some of the things we're going to witness in this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. Now, of course, you obviously have no clue when you start your day if you're going to show up back at the ramp looking like this or things are going to go your way, but one thing you definitely can tell is how your weather's going to be. There are plenty of ways to check the weather, and no reason you should show up at the boat ramp looking like this. Now, you'll have to let me know in the comments below, would you go out on a day like this? Would you actually even leave your house and go down to the lake when you know the wind's going to be blowing 25 to 30 miles an hour? Obviously, several people did, but I got to admit, for me, this is not my ideal day of going out boating. This is one of those days I'd rather sit around the house than go out and fight with the lake like this. Speaking of fighting with things, imagine having to wrestle your boat off the back of your vehicle like this versus using a trailer and just dropping it in at the ramp. Sure, this saves a little money on trailer maintenance, but man, I'm not sure that it's quite worth the headache that we're about to see our guy experience. Hopefully he never actually tries this at a very slick ramp, because that would be a show in itself.
Yeah, he said I'm just ready.
Now, my real curiosity with this one isn't how he gets the boat off, it's how in the world you actually get the boat back up on this. That seems like a monumental task in itself. Now, we make videos all the time showing $1 million mistakes, but how about making a $4 million mistake like we witnessed about a week ago when the Lamborghini yacht sunk in Miami? The craziest part of the videos coming out of this is really the yacht sinking, the party still continued. There were 32 people on board at the time of the incident, and the party never really stopped. The water just added to it. I guess it was like its own sandbar at the end. Nothing like getting a little help down at the ramp, especially when you find yourself towing something that probably you should not be towing with the vehicle you have. I'm just guessing they're a little over the weight. I mean, I have to give them a little bit of credit here. They were at least using the safety chains, or this would have been a whole lot worse. But I have to imagine now the best bet for them is to go ahead and back her down again and get the boat off the trailer. But looking at this, tell me if I'm wrong, that trailer looks just a little small for this boat. Always a sad day when we see somebody taking advantage of the free boat ramp car wash. What do you think caused this one, or what do you think is the number one cause of this? Typically, I think of overloading, but in this situation, this truck was definitely not over its capacities, so it's definitely something different going on. I wonder if they forgot to put it in park or what, but let me know in the comments what you think the number one cause of these trucks sinking is. And speaking of sinking, an airboat captain once told me you've never captained an airboat unless you sunk one. I mean, it's obvious the person recording this knew this was coming. They pulled the camera out for a reason as they saw this guy approaching, and we kind of all see it coming as well. They nosedive right there, take the water over, and that's all she wrote for this guy. Another all she wrote moment is when you try and put a 150 horsepower engine on the back of a 15-foot boat. Yes, it might sound like a whole lot of fun. Yes, you might have a 100-mile-an-hour boat, but the reality is that one never actually works the way you think. Now, while unfortunately this crew couldn't even get it to float, I have seen people do something like this and get it successfully to float. The problem is the boat doesn't want to come up on plane because there's so much weight on the back, even with all the horsepower that you add. Typically, you wind up more in a situation like this crew.
Diving in the channel.
This one's always a fun one and always creates a little controversy. Let me know in the comments who you think's in the right or wrong here. Now, even as a US Coast Guard licensed captain, I feel like there's a lot of gray area in here. For example, common sense should trump everything, and common sense tells me this is one of the dumbest places you can dive. But by the actual laws, my understanding is the boat needs to stay a minimum of 100 feet away from this flag, even in a navigable channel. But let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Obviously, if you get stuck swimming in a navigable channel because you ran out of gas, that's a different world. Now this one does appear a little odd to me. Do you believe only half the bridge came up for a reason, or does only half the bridge move? I feel like you would have a much lower clearance than if the whole bridge was to open, but this crew tries it anyway and winds up making it, but not quite as easy as they thought. Our crew here has chosen not to take the easy way either. Now this one I can't really imagine. If this was my exit, every day when I wanted to go boating, I gotta imagine that one of two things would probably happen. One, I would give up boating. Two, I would move. Now our captain definitely at least appears like he knows what he's doing, and he does wind up making it out safely. Now this is not a common occurrence here in the US, as there's only a handful of bar crossings that we see like this in any kind of busy port or marina area. For the most part, everything's dredged and pretty clear for us, and we don't have to deal with it. Speaking of dealing with it, this crew right here winds up getting soaked as they're taking their ferry back from their resort. Now, while most of this crew's soaked, the good news is they're on vacation, and when they get where they're going, they're going to be able to change clothes and relax. Now, imagine this one, though, that this is your walk to work. You work at a port, and this is what you're dealing with anytime the wind's blowing a little bit. I probably would do the same thing as I mentioned about quitting boating earlier. I would quit this job. I wonder how many people wind up getting knocked off this thing a year. Now, I can't tell if our guy winds up getting knocked off here, if he winds up jumping off or just falling off. Obviously, it looks like he's fishing. I'm not sure why he goes over the rail, but it doesn't take long, and he's in the drink. Fortunately, somebody witnessed it, and they were able to give him a hand getting back on board, but I don't know if the rod's with him still or not. Maybe he should take up a different style of fishing, kind of like what we're about to see in the next couple clips. We're going to call this the fish whispering method. That's where somebody comes down a dock or a boat, and all of a sudden they just whisper to the fish. No bait, no line, no rod needed, and the next thing you know, you got fish coming to you. I mean, this definitely sounds like a much easier and cheaper plan than going out there, buying equipment, buying bait, sitting around in a boat, just waiting on the fish to hopefully hook on the line. I mean, here, using the fish whisper method, they just jump right in the boat for you. And right here, this is like the Amazon version of fish whispering, where you start whispering for the things you've wanted, and all of a sudden the next thing you know, the boat just drops them off for you. Thanks for watching, crew. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram at Broncos Guru, and you might see your stories over here. Just like HLS Chris, Steve360 Fishing, Mark A. Cook 007, Erica Nicole, Raul Cortez, DCW757, Splash Bros, High Life 93, Harvester Fishing, and Adam Coolidge did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.